Dr. Vikki Petersen here. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit more about dairy products and their relationship to gluten intolerance. It's hard enough finding that you have celiac disease or gluten intolerance without, above that, thinking about there's something else that you shouldn't eat. So I'm sorry, but I have to tell you the truth. And what we do find very often in our practice is that patients do not tolerate dairy products. I have a lot of different things I could say about dairy products. One is I don't really consider it a food. When you think about a mammal making milk for her offspring, it is just that. Mammals are designed to create milk for their offspring for a relatively short period of time, and then if the mammal is no longer procreating, then she doesn't make milk anymore. And so historically it was at times of great famine or loss of a mother that we as humans started to drink the milk of other mammals. But prior to that, and in times of great stress and strife, that wasn't naturally done. So there is that component to it. There's the component that about 95% of the world's population is lactose intolerant. So we don't really seem to naturally be able to digest milk, very much akin to the protein gluten. We're not able as humans to digest many parts of that as well. Our ability to chop up that protein into individual amino acids, which would mean complete protein digestion, is not available to humans. So they have some commonality in that way, but we've always felt that dairy products had an inflammatory response in the intestines that was created, also similar to what gluten can do. A very nice study out of Britain looked at this, and so they took 20 people with celiac disease, and how they did the experiment is not as important as the results, because I don't think you want to hear about that. But they introduced some gluten into the system. They didn't ingest it, it was by another fashion, but they introduced a little bit of gluten, enough to see what the immune system did in the intestine. So there was an inflammatory reaction that occurred by the immune system in the intestine, and interestingly enough, that same inflammatory response occurred in 50% of the people in this research study when cow's milk was introduced. So the exact same inflammatory response happened in the intestine with 50% of the patients that had celiac when they introduced cow's milk into their intestine. So nice corroboration of what we see clinically. So I just wanted to share that with you. And as I said, I know it's difficult. And one last point I just thought of is that the kind of the third facet. So one, is it really a food? Two, it creates a similar inflammatory response, at least in 50%. According to this study, I think it's higher based on my clinical response. And then the third point is that we see dairy products as a cross-reactive food. I've talked about that before, but for those who haven't heard that term, what it means is that you ingest a food that's protein structure is similar enough to gluten that your body reacts to that food in the exact same fashion that it would react as if you were consuming gluten. So you're not eating gluten, you're having cow's milk or you're having buckwheat as an example, but your body's immune system reacts the same way, therefore making you ill, keeping your gut from healing, stressing your immune system, etc., etc. So three really major points that we want to look at when we're thinking about ingesting dairy products, maybe regardless of whether you're gluten intolerant, but very much important if you are. So I hope this was helpful, and I'm going to grab this research paper because I couldn't remember exactly where it was from and tell you real quick. It was out of the British Society for Immunology, and it was called Mucosal Reactivity to Cow's Milk Protein in Celiac Disease. So mucosal just stands for that lining of the intestine. So that's the name of that study, and I hope this was helpful. Until next time, I wish you very good health.